What's going on, guys? It's QuizzyDog here, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the PlayStation 5 controller. This is the DualSense controller, not to be confused with the old DualShock moniker. But they've done a couple of things pretty different with this controller. So we're going to unbox it. We're also going to jump in and take a side-by-side comparison look at some of the other controllers currently on the market from, I guess, what we can call last gen, and kind of get some good overall thoughts. Now, I have not tested this controller. Today is, I think, the 2nd of November. Consoles are still about almost 2 weeks out, but I was fortunate enough to get the controller early. So, without further ado, we're going to just grab a knife here. We're going to open the box up. And this is actually the very first time I'm opening this myself as well. And from what I've seen online and what I've heard, in all honesty, this is going to be a pretty lackluster experience for an unboxing. And that's actually done purposefully. They're really trying to go for a more minimal, more environmentally friendly package orientation for both the peripherals as well as the console, and I can appreciate that. We don't need flash pizzazz, a whole bunch of packing material, and as you guys can see right away when we get in, it's just in just like a generic white box. So doesn't really scream in your face, wow, look at me, but I get what they're doing. I appreciate the message that they're conveying through kind of the very easy packing materials, and they really weren't wrong, guys. So putting the controller down for a second, we just have this. So that's it. We have some instructions that I know very few of you, if any of you, will actually even look at. I know I won't. And no charge cable. You do get your one charge cable with the console itself, of course. This being just a separate controller, it doesn't necessarily need one. And you know what? Before we actually get right into the bread and butter as well, let's take a very quick tour of the box itself. So again, this is the DualSense Wireless Controller for PS5, of course. Compatible system, PS5. So this will not work with PS4s, of course. But it will work, I believe, with PC as well as Android. Looking at the back here, we do have haptic feedback, feel more with physically responsive feedback to your in-game actions, adaptive triggers. So this is something new on the DualSense 5 or DualSense controller as well. The ability to actually feel force and tension within those digital bumpers, which is super awesome. Built-in microphone, again, another first for Sony, which I think is pretty cool, and signature comfort. Enjoy an intuitive design featuring enhanced sticks and touchpad. So that's pretty much it. That's everything that you get on the package itself, but let's now take a look at the controller. So right off the bat, I'm in love. This thing is beautiful. In hand, it feels very, very nice. We're gonna, again, get into a comparison in just a little bit with the DualShock 4, which was my preferred controller. I've tried scuffs, although I do like the Xbox controller as well. But right away, the grip itself, it reminds me more of an Xbox controller. It's got a little bit more taper towards the bottom of it, which kind of lends to a better grip experience. Flat bottoms here as well. Don't really know why. Maybe it's that so it goes in the stand a little bit easier. I'm not sure, but I dig it. It cuts right off right in your grip, which is pretty cool. I like the button layout as well. As far as the spacing, it looks a little bit more spacious. Again, I'm looking over at the DualShock. We're gonna look side by side in just a couple of moments here. You've got your sticks. Down here, you do have that microphone as well that we saw on the box material here. So without a headset, you can actually speak into this. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for competitive play or even online play. I'm sure around the holiday season, there's gonna be a lot of people screaming into that little microphone, but you do have a mute button right here as well that you can go ahead and have that muted. On the back, You do have a little reset pin here as well, so very similar to the way that you reset and resynchronize the DualShock. And the triggers, they also look like they're extended, almost like the short triggers that you get with the SCUF controller. So really, really, really like that. Buttons are a little bit different. You now have a create button instead of a select button. PlayStation button is actually the PlayStation logo. That is actually a button, so it's no longer the circular button that you got on the DualShock. And that's pretty much it. Now I'm gonna bring this close to the lavalier because those buttons have a nice tactile feel and a nice tactile response. They don't shimmy and shake on the inside. The touchpad itself, or the D-pad I should say, that's definitely all one piece in the back. You can see that as you move one side, it moves the whole thing, which is fine. It doesn't need to be independent buttons because for the most part, a lot of games don't really utilize that. You're gonna be using the thumbsticks, and the feel of those thumbsticks, I don't know if it's the grip, I don't know if the placement is different, but it feels really good, like really, really good. This is a very genuine first impression. This is the first time I've ever held this controller and unboxed it. The thumb grip as well, if you guys can see, it's pretty sticky. My thumb does catch that pretty easily, which I like. And I guess to round out everything, on the very bottom here as well, you do have that auxiliary port for a headphone jack or headphone microphone combo for those of you who have a wired headset. Now, comparing this to the DualShock 4, you're going to notice that they've kept things traditional to an extent, but it's still very much a new controller. Like you can tell this is for the next gen. The triggers, oh yeah, the triggers, even without this being turned on or being hooked up to a controller or a console, sorry, for that resistance, they have a better feel to them. This one feels a little wiggly. Mind you, this is a heavily used controller. The D-pad, a little bit tighter on the DualShock. I find it actually has a lot of give on the DualSense, like that spacing, if you guys can see here. Like that moves quite a bit. Again, not a big deal, but it just feels like maybe the cutout is a little bit more spacious than it needs to be. The buttons as well, maybe the spacing is similar. It feels bigger. It feels like it's got more space. No light bar on the top of the DualSense like we had on this guy here. At least not a big one. There is a little light bar you're going to notice around the touchpad. So all around here. And then if we look at the top, there is some right here as well. What that's going to do for you, I'm really not sure. I don't know if that's going to have any bearing on the camera system or the VR or anything like it did on the DualShock 4, but we will know more in 2 weeks, or somebody probably has a video on it on YouTube already. Overall, definitely a larger controller. Man, those grips are way more preferred. Like that is so comfy in comparison. And again, I've always liked the feel of the DualShock. The analogs, I mean, they are what they are. Let's take a look here at a Xbox controller. And again, if you guys look side by side, this is where I think you're going to see that grip style is a little closer to Xbox than it is the old DualShock. And that's, of course, speaking about the DualSense and the way that this is laid out on the bottom. So feels very much like an Xbox controller. Other than that, not too many similarities. The color actually is another thing as well. I'm gonna hold these up one last time. So it is more of a cool white, not quite like a platinum white. Like I would consider this white. This is kind of like a cooler, kind of in the higher Kelvins, has a little bit of like blue or silver to it. Really, really like that. So that's pretty much it. I was just kind of excited to get this controller and kind of wanted to make a video for you guys. A little unboxing, little first impression, little comparison. We do have a console pre-ordered, so that will arrive sometime between launch date and whenever the heck Canada Post gets it into my hands. We've been super busy. We've been kind of revamping the office space. Behind the camera is my living room area of the office. That's where the console is going to be. And we've got some tricks kind of geared up, or some treats I should say, for some video content coming out for when the console launches, and hopefully a showcase of this room as a whole as well. If you guys are excited about the DualSense, let me know in the comments below. Let me know if you guys pre-ordered it. Let me know if you ordered any other peripherals as well. I still personally have my Arctis 7 wireless SteelSeries headset. That, of course, will be linked in the video description if you guys want to catch a video on that. SteelSeries did say that it's going to be PS5 compatible with no firmware update required. So as far as the Pulse headset, probably won't grab that. HDMI CEC has to be covered with my TV remote also acting as a remote for my PS5. So not much need personally for any other peripherals, but the console itself is something that I'm very much looking forward to. But until the next video, guys, my name is QuazyDog. You guys have been awesome, and we'll catch you all in my next video. Take care.